are anthropology, botany, geology, and zoology. So they become liaisons back to their school to disseminate information, to help teachers plan field trips, to figure out what the best practices and how do you maneuver through 19.5 acres of exhibition space and a 27,000 square foot exhibition like Evolving Planet. Where do you go? How do you break that down so that the information is comprehensible for your students and for you, which we will go through tonight a little bit. And then they also help in programs like this. They become experts with our tools and volunteer their time and help us write educator guides and sit on our advisory council and really kind of, you know, we pass everything through them. So a lot of our stuff that we develop is teacher-led and teacher-driven. So, and we're always looking for field ambassadors. So if you're interested, that's also an opportunity that I welcome here. So, Brendan?
Okay. We're going to be going up to the Evolving Planet, and when you receive this educator guide, section 10, we're going to be going into the hominid evolution section, and it has pre, during, and post activities in there that you can do with your classes. Now, I have these sheets here, and I will just, without burying you with all the information in this book right now, I'll go over some of the pre, during, and post activities for a field trip. Even if you don't use a field trip, if you just do it in your classroom. If you bring this guide up here, you can kind of scan at some of the things I'll be talking about as I flip through it. And one of the activities I'll be discussing is the experience box. We'll bring this up there, and there's a table all set up, so I can put it down and take out some of the materials. And what we have in here is we have 3 hominid skulls. We have Lucy, Australopithecus afarensis. We have a robustus over here. Yeah, Boise. All right, very nice. We have some scattered around our school, 2 different Neanderthals and all the rest of it. We have Homo erectus, and we have Homo sapien Cro-Magnon in the skull. And you could grab these if this is all you had at the school. They're full size. You could take the box and then you can spread them out. Do you have a whole set of them? Yeah. We have a small set.
Except for Lucy.
Well, if you sign up for Harris Loan, you can bring this to your school. It has a whole book full of activities. Along, if it's high school, there's a bunch of activities. If you were able to get a CD right now, I'll be burning some later, that have videos of how we use the skulls at our school. So if you bring the box, it's a simple activity where we have just the students compare and contrast the different skulls they have in front of them and try and put them in some type of sensible order. So are we...
And
Yeah.
I will be giving a presentation today on using hominid skull replicas to create lessons about human evolution. This is a table I've set up. Here's some of the Harris Loan materials that you can bring to your classroom. We have Lucy, Australopithecus afarensis. We have Homo erectus, and we have Homo sapien Cro-Magnon man. These come in the box. Here's the box. It gives a listing of everything that comes in the hominid evolution box, what the contents are. Here are some activities that I use in the classroom, different lab activities, different materials. Many of these are printable on my website, sciencewithmrnoon.com. Here's an article from the Field Members magazine on the Evolving Planet, which explains the creation of this box, which I took part in. I was paid to put together a bunch of resources about hominid evolution. Here's some of the material I wrote up for these particular skulls: Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and Australopithecus afarensis. And here's links. This is all on my website, sciencewithmrnoon.com. Here's links to the Smithsonian, where they have a series of skulls. I have a PowerPoint presentation. I put an audio presentation on my website, which you could see, and you can hear some of the information that I gathered together to go with hominid skulls and teaching human evolution in class. Here's some stone tools that early man created at different eras. Some of the magazines that are very good to have in class. Excellent if you're going to talk about Darwin or evolution. This is a great magazine right here. This National Geographic is excellent to share with the students. Here's the Field Museum's Educator's Guide for the recent temporary exhibit on Darwin. And here is the book that accompanies the hominid skulls on evolution, stuff in the evolving planet. And all these materials here are on the website. The Field Museum, you go into the Evolving Planet section, and this is section 10, the hominids, dawn of humankind. And you can print out all these free lessons and ideas on how to use this during your field trips. The information here, how to have a pre, during, and post-focused field trip. So here we have Lucy, and this is a nice replica of Lucy that we have at the Field Museum in here. And here is the actual replicas of Lucy. These were the different bones that were recovered, and also a full replica for students to touch on what the hands would be like and what the face would be like. So you can see what we have here. This is a nice bit of information. This is what you could show your students, and then you could show them the actual bones that were recovered, and you could discuss how these replicas have patterns to represent those bones that were discovered, and you can see where speculation was taken to redesign the rest of the skull. And then you could furthermore go on to see how an entire face could be recreated.
And I have this, you'll be getting the large Evolving Planet PDF files all printed out with over 100 pages. On the CD I put just this section, the hominids, which is about 8 pages. So if you wanted to print something off specifically for just human evolution and look at some of the activities that go with human evolution, you can print this off your CD. It's also on the website. The whole booklet that you're getting tonight is on the website. There's also the videos of Dr. Robert Martin over there speaking of some Neanderthals and humans and some of the characteristics between the two, which we have in this case over here. Those videos can also be downloaded. There's a video in every major section. That's okay. That's all right. There's a video in every major section, and those videos can be downloaded from the internet and put on your computer. If you're in a classroom that doesn't have internet access, but you have a laptop computer, you can bring those in, and you can show it to the students as you're doing a PowerPoint presentation.
Can they be encrypted the way
Yes, you can put them into a PowerPoint. So if you have a folder, you put the PowerPoint, you put the video in the same folder, and then you go through movies and add it to where you want it to be. So yeah, they're regular, I believe they're QuickTime MOV files. And like I said, you can just download them. They might even be both. There might be two types, the Windows Media and the MOVs.
There's I did that with the downstairs exhibit that we did in the fall. The problem is when you have 30 students in a lab and they're all hitting on them at the same time.
Oh yeah, I think we were talking about doing a presentation where one person shows it to them.
Much better.
If I have a website, Science with Ms. Januna, that shows different ways I use technology. And what we do in our computer labs when the students watch videos is we get them headphones. That way every one of them is in their own little world while they're doing something. But in this activity that you're going to get, there's activities, pre-activities, that the ideas are written in here. And some of the pre-activities we have would be just like with this experience box, where you can bring these hominid skulls. And there's also, if you don't have the experience box, you can use these sheets. These PDFs are also on your CD. And you can have students, depending on what level they're on, they can do different comparisons, measurements of the skulls. These are supposed to be accurate to each of them, how they're correlated. There's a little size scale there and millimeters on the bottom. You could use them, in here we have a caliper so that the students can take measurements, different measurements, if they want to do the brows, or if they want to do the mandibles, the jaw, if they want to do temporal muscles, they want to check any of this stuff. And also in the box are different stone tools. And the cards are here, you don't have to just like bring it out and say, I don't know what's the difference between this. There's cards for the skulls and for the stone tools that tells what the different shapes, how they're correlated, and what time they were made. So they can see how the tools advanced from simple rocks with blunt edges to fine, sharp instruments that you could pierce with, right? So it explains how people went from being scavengers to hunters, and how the tools reflect these different jobs people had, different cultures or traditions they were passing on. In here, this would be a pre-activity that you could bring all this to the school and have your students look at skulls, come up with ideas of their own, trying comparing and contrasting what the different skulls are. Like I said, I show how we do this with our students at Argo, and how they try to place the skulls in sequence to see which one might be the oldest or which one might be the relatively youngest skull. It has cards on the skulls, so you could kind of have a look at that, or you might want to cover it up if you wanted to come up with some ideas. And there is, SETI Institute has a whole book of activities and videos explaining human evolution and all types of levels of labs. This is called, SETI had a whole series, Voyages Through Time, on evolution all across the board. But this book right here is on hominid evolution. And the CDs are in here, and these have scientists from all over the world giving short introductions, like we had said, where you can put in a PowerPoint. Now, I don't like to say this when Monica's around, but these can be copied too if you're computer savvy. And the videos from here can be copied and put into a PowerPoint also.
This is part of this box.
Yes, it's all in the box. So this box has, if you just had this box, you have 2 to 3 weeks worth of lessons every day at all levels on human evolution. This is a whole unit on human evolution, all in a box. And it's $30 a year for the Harris loan that you get it, and you can take anything out for free. Take it for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks. Call up Moses, call up Mara, and they'll just, whenever you need to bring it back, you bring it back.
And how many boxes do you have?
There's 5, but they put in orders for more because we've been doing this for a while, and a lot of people are using these boxes, and they love them. So
yeah, we usually make multiples of 10 experience boxes with any one of our permanent collections.
Do you happen to know of any sources for skulls that might have the foramen open, so they can like pour sand in and do the whole?
well, we have half size. Yeah, I always bring all this stuff.
Wards. But
Wards.
they're scaled down. They're like a quarter
Yeah,
size.
and there's also this company right here. I was looking at it. It's called Bone Clones, and if you go to Bone Clones, you can get any of these at a reasonable price. The company does evolutionary classroom university. This company that got this from, you can buy it direct. If you went to Wards, you would be buying Bone Clones through Wards. They'll throw an extra charge, but you can go on the website, you can get them direct. And they have even posters, t-shirts, they have everything there. So if you're looking for that, they have an extensive. There's here, and then there's a company called Skulls Unlimited, which is a relatively newer company. They both just have skulls, and more skulls. So this would be a very good, when you get this, you'll see with the pre-activities, before you bring students here, you could give them some labs where they draw their own correlations by looking at these items. When you come here, obviously there's so much in the whole museum, but if you come just to the section for human evolution, you can have them write about how they think they've gone from items like this. You know, how do you get where you just, this is the actual fossils, and when you hear the lecture, it'll be, there's you know, over 200 skulls of Pithecus atheronus. And there's some are very complete, even baby ones, male, female, all the rest of it. This was a lot of students, they go, come on, this is all they had and they came up with all this. And it's like, no, this isn't, this is the groundbreaker right here. Since then, like I said, over 200 individuals have been determined, and some of them are very complete. But how do they go, you don't have to tell them that right off the bat. How do you go from having something like this to something like this? A lot of work. Specialists, all types of specialists, from forensic specialists, from Dr. Martin here at the Field Museum, to artistic specialists. The lady who made this was a French theater. She's famous in France for making costumes and masks and the rest of it. She used yak hair to put this together because she wanted it to be so authentic that it looked, you know, just like you could just touch her and be like, she's a lot, she moves. It scares you. So there's a lot of science involved here. And it's not just, and they could drop this too, in case you were going to wonder. A lot of science is involved. And have the kids think about, well, what is the science before you tell them, before they see this? What is the science involved in taking these observations and coming up with some type of clarification? When they come up here, with the labs that I gave you there, you'll see a lot of correlations between the hands and the hips and the skulls in general, doing comparisons. So they could draw that. We have 3 skulls here, or if you have more skulls at your school, well, now you have a nice extension where you have even more skulls. You have a whole case full of skulls here. How can they draw these correlations across the board? Or what do they see from the skulls that they had? You can bring these with you if you want to have them do some type of hands-on expression where they can just feel this and see where these correlations come together, where the bones come over. And with the tools, in the guides that you're getting tonight, it has a whole activity that you do here about understanding what the tools are all about, what the importance of the shapes, what's represented by each of these tools. And they can read this here, they can correlate it here. As I was talking before about the dawning, sometimes people, they like to come around and they go right around here, and they miss these skulls right here for earlier ancestors, these common ancestors between the chimps and the gorillas and the Australopithecus atheronus. They have some descriptions here so they can learn about apes and some of these early ancestors between apes and hominids. They can learn more about the family tree here. They can watch the video. These are all activities they can do here. Now, once you go back to the classroom, you can have them form all types of discussions. Oh, and there's some nice footprints here. This is a nice pre-activity, is they could make some handprints. Younger children or older ones like to do it too, in my classes. They can make some footprints, some handprints, and then they can come here and they can analyze their footprints. And they can come here and they can come down. It's a little bit dirty, but they can make rubbings on paper. They can kind of feel the footprints of this cast of the early.
Is this a replica from Untitled?
Yes, it is. It is a replica, and some of the things you can see here was they had 2 people side by side, or I'll say 2 hominids side by side. But the thought is, if you look at this, the smudging in here of toes is that there were 3. 2 were side by side, and then a 3rd one came by and saw the footprints. You ever do that in snow? And decided they wanted to walk right in the footprints of the one in front of them. So they, a lot of anthropologists had this idea. They're like, wow, animals just run around. But somebody there was playing. Not only were they, evolving to stand upright, but they had curiosity and they wanted to play games and they were kind of paying attention, observing the world around them as they went through it. So you can see if they could determine this through rubbings, if they could determine toes here and toes here, if they could see that. But yeah, this is a replica of that.
So how would you prepare students who are seriously creationists?
Students who are serious.
Oh,
How would you prepare those? I have a book. I used to teach in Alabama. I taught in Selma, Alabama, and I taught in Birmingham, Alabama in the city schools. And they were serious creations. You know, we had 5 to 20. A lot of students will either close their mind. I have the video online of how I come into a classroom and how I approach this. The first thing is get over the word evolution. You know, what is the word evolution? Ask them what they feel about the word. What does it mean? Change taking place. Well, is evolution a bad word? Because that's what the state's telling us. They don't want to use evolution in our state goals, right? You go and look at the state goals. You'll see natural selection, you'll see change over time, but you won't see a word, evolution. It's not in there. The reason why it's not in there is because so many people get upset, even though we have the processes in the state goals. They get upset over that word, evolution. So that's where your first thing is, you have to get over that hurdle of, what is the problem with the word evolution? Do people see change in their neighborhoods? Do people see change outside in the fields? Do they see change around them? So you kind of have to, with kids, someone was saying, you know, kids, they're a little more open-minded. Some of them are stubborn in their ways, but a lot of them, if you ask them to explain why they feel a certain way, you know, they kind of falter a little bit more. Yeah, they want to argue with you, but if you start saying, well, yeah, you have a matter of faith, but then you think of the words, the semantics that's involved. And it's hard for them to take semantics and put it into religion because they don't even really know that much about their religion, you know. A lot of them don't understand why the word evolution is so, why religious people have such a hard time. Some religious people have such a hard time with the word evolution. If you say we came from apes, now you start trouble, right? If you talk about evolution and you have kids understand that evolution is all around us and that they see it. And when they understand that they see evolution and they're seeing it on TV, they're seeing it on the news, they're seeing it in their neighborhoods, then kids are a little more open-minded as to looking at the skulls and thinking of them as ancient species. Right? Like I said to begin with, a lot of kids, like you say, if they start, the creationist or someone with a closed mind might start and say, there's no way you can tell me that this right here is this right here. So you have to lead them into what science is suggesting by finding fossils and reassembling them in a certain way, using a scientific method. And a lot of times they see this on the TV with their forensic science shows. They see these things happening and they accept it. You know, Maury Povich, DNA, hey, everybody's happy about Maury. You tell me that a chimpanzee has 98% the same genes as us, and kids shut down. But Maury Povich can do anything he wants when he talks about DNA evidence, right?
I just want to add too, Brennan, like this here is a perfect example of, I think, why in so many of our schools, this is what we think about, right? And it's a great visual because I think that just that alone, that's what we think about initially when we talk about evolution. But we really don't talk about the complexities of these family trees and how extensive they really are. And really, I think one of the other key points that I want to make in any one of our exhibitions, right, we're a scientific research institution. So it's about the evidence, you know, and it's about the investigation. And I think that's
is a state goal.
Yeah. And I think that's really important when we talk about the nature of science is that, you know, what we knew yesterday is not necessarily what we're going to know today or what we're going to think we know tomorrow. And just that process for our students to really be able to comprehend that it's constantly changing. And it's changing over time. And it's changing in very small ways that we may not even be able to see that.
And also remember, as a science teacher, you're not trying to change someone's beliefs. You're trying to open their mind to investigation, observation, and understanding. But you don't want to change, you know, you don't want to say, well...
Well, see, I teach their parents.
Yes.
And their parents are very biblical. Some of them are very biblical people. And then if you give a test and the right answer has to be such and such.
You have to stay with the investigation, with the observation, exactly. You can't spew these facts. You just can't spew facts against a belief and expect people to have an open mind. Sure, they might not argue with you, but you want them digest what you're saying. You don't want to be speaking to a brick wall as you say it. So having the students look at these comparisons, the similarities in the
I think that's really
yeah, it is. And like I said, it's on the video. It's all on their CD. You can see how we do that.
And I also think what museums do, like exhibitions do, is we're telling one story. There are 100 other stories about evolution or the way that we set up our exhibitions. And I mean, I think as teachers, what gives you the advantage of pulling them out of the classroom on a field trip is taking them out of their comfort zone and placing them in a space like this where you can have those conversations. And it's about the dialogue.
We have the evolution of whales over there, so we have so much that they can see
Yeah,
that they don't believe in the picture books. You know,
Right.
the textbook. They don't believe it.
Yeah.
It's a drawing, it's a cartoon. And for them to see stages and try to explain what these are, all next to each other, is a real nice.
The Darwin exhibit was an amazing one too,
Yes.
because it did exactly
Yes.
what you are saying. He's not just a man who is known as, the guy who wrote on the origin of species.
Right.
And descent of man and all that. All of a sudden, he's real, he's got his, he's got his manuscript here, he's got everything.
His sketchings, his drawings. He was an observer.
Right.
He was
And
an
so that
observer of
it made it
nature.
more credible because you saw that he was doing other things. He wasn't just sitting there coming up with some theory based on nothing.
Right.
Oh, yes, his wife was very,
Thanks, the lighting of this.
Yeah, so bringing students, like you're saying, or parents, to places like this, where they can really just kind of, this is just one small section. This is such a large section, and they can go in and kind of digest. I mean, this is so large, and it deals with so much. So it's really good to have people be able to touch, to see with their eyes, to think about, in different situations, different parts of this. Like I was saying, what you see here. It looks, a lot of people will come over and they'll say, what is this? It looks like it was hot tar and then somebody, dropped their sandwich across it like this. And then you can have camaraderie, you can have them feel in here and ask them, what do they see? Where are the tools? Can they determine anything from this? So it's nice for them to be able to feel. And even when the pictures in the book, a lot of students look at the pictures in the book and they think nothing of it. They don't see it. You know what I'm saying? They don't see it.
I'm inclined to stand up and walk around the room to get that idea of how important when you look at that there's a push off with the ball of the foot. And so that's very significant when you look at the pictures of how the depth plays a role. And I
It's a
just
very good activity.
have them walk. And then I try have them walk on their heels, like little kids that they don't get that foot action when they're learning how to walk. It's hilarious to see them do it, but it gets the idea that you have a change.
Yeah.
And this is significant because the toe alignment is so important to the walk.
To roll out the paper, put paint or ink on their feet, and have them do all, have them see how they make different patterns. Because kids like to fool around and see what the different patterns are, and then write down, what they had, what they were doing as they were standing, or walking, or turning sideways, what the different patterns were. It's really good for them to do that. And they can spend the whole class doing it. Really good activity.
So what I'd like to do now, did you have a question and then?
Take masking tape and rolls into the room. You tape your phone down. Now kids come up and write their names on the board and try to
Oh.
open the door. Oh, it's
Yeah.
hysterical. It
Yeah.
unzip and rezip the hoodie. They love it. And it just kind of evolved one day. I said, oh, you did your thumb. And now we do it every year. We bring the tape out. They love it.
There's a lot of it, like she's saying, for each of these adaptations that have served us, our purpose for surviving the way we do. The fact that we have this triangular vision and parallax and having them close one eye and the other, or with your jaws, just feeling on your head as you move up and down your jaws. Or, simple things like this. I mean, how many animals do you know can do this? And why is us just for baseball? Is that it? How many animals can do this? Yeah, just like she's saying.
So a couple things, I want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to look at this particular area. So if you could just, for the next 5 to 7 minutes, connect